Hello and welcome back to Cheating Tales Lab. We're grateful for each view and comment. Tell us, from which country or city are you watching today? We enjoy connecting with our global audience. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, The Announcement. Victor Harlow stood in the corner of his father-in-law's lavish penthouse, nursing a tumbler of whiskey as Montgomery Blackwell's retirement party reached its crescendo. For a decade, Victor had transformed the failing Blackwell Industries into a billion-dollar enterprise. Every morning for 10 years, he had arrived first and left last, sacrificing weekends and holidays to resurrect the company that Montgomery had nearly run into the ground. The room sparkled with champagne flutes and designer dresses. Victor's wife, Diana, floated through the crowd in her element, her dark hair cascading down her back in elegant waves. She was Montgomery's only child, the princess of the Blackwell dynasty, though she had never shown interest in running the family business. Montgomery tapped his glass, his ruddy face flushed with alcohol. "Attention, everyone. The moment has arrived." The crowd quieted. Victor moved closer, expecting the speech they had rehearsed where Montgomery would formally announce Victor as CEO. They had discussed this transition for years. "Blackwell Industries has been my life's work," Montgomery boomed. "But every dynasty needs new blood." Diana slipped to her father's side, beaming with anticipation. Victor caught her eye, and she quickly looked away. Something cold settled in his stomach. "That's why I'm thrilled to announce that Blackwell Industries will soon be in the capable hands of none other than—" Montgomery paused dramatically. "Nolan Pierce." The crowd gasped. Victor froze, the name hitting him like a physical blow. Nolan Pierce stepped forward from behind Montgomery, his confident smile revealing perfect teeth. He was Diana's college sweetheart, the man she had dated for 5 years before Victor. The man who had mysteriously reappeared in their lives 6 months ago as a business consultant. "Time for new blood." Montgomery boomed again, slapping Nolan on the back. Victor's gaze snapped to Diana. She wasn't surprised. Instead, she was smiling at Nolan, a private smile Victor hadn't seen in years. Her eyes sparkled with something that made Victor's blood turn to ice. "I've always believed in forward thinking," Montgomery continued. "Victor has done adequate work maintaining what we built, but Nolan brings fresh vision and the pedigree this company deserves." Adequate. 10 years of 70-hour weeks. 10 years of navigating the company through recessions and market crashes. 10 years of increasing profits by 300%. Adequate. Nolan raised his glass. "I'm honored, sir. And I promise to take Blackwell Industries to heights it's never seen before." Montgomery nodded approvingly. "Diana always said you were destined for greatness." Diana blushed, avoiding Victor's gaze. The pieces clicked into place. The late nights. The sudden business trips. The text messages she shielded from his view. Victor set his glass down carefully. Without a word, he walked to the coat closet, retrieved his jacket, and headed for the elevator. No one noticed his departure. All eyes were on the golden boy, the prodigal son returned. In the parking garage, Victor sat in his car, staring at nothing. 10 years of his life erased in a moment. His marriage, his career, his future, all built on quicksand. His phone buzzed. A message from Lawrence Reeves, his personal attorney and the only person at Blackwell Industries who had been loyal to Victor rather than the Blackwell name. "I heard. This isn't legal. Call me." Victor didn't respond. Instead, he drove home, packed his essential belongings, emptied the safe of important documents, and left a note on the kitchen counter. "Enjoy your new life." As he drove away from the home he had shared with Diana for 8 years, Victor's shock crystallized into something harder, colder. By Monday morning, they would learn a fundamental truth about Victor Harlow. He didn't get mad. He got even. Chapter 2, The Foundation. Victor checked into an upscale hotel downtown, requesting a suite with a view of the Blackwell Industries headquarters. He ordered room service, poured himself a scotch, and began making calls. By midnight, he had secured a temporary office in a discreet location and arranged meetings with key players for Saturday and Sunday. But as the adrenaline faded, memories flooded in. He sat by the window, watching the city lights, remembering how it all began. 12 years ago, Victor had been a rising star at Meridian Capital, known for salvaging failing companies. Montgomery Blackwell had approached him, desperate to save his floundering family business. Victor had been reluctant, Blackwell Industries was nearly beyond saving, but then he met Diana. She had accompanied her father to the meeting, ostensibly as the company's marketing director, though Victor quickly discerned she knew little about actual marketing. What she didn't know was how to command a room with her presence. Tall, graceful, with intelligent gray eyes that missed nothing, Diana Blackwell had fascinated Victor from the first moment. "My father's business means everything to our family," she had told him over dinner that evening. "We've been industry leaders for 3 generations. I can't bear to see it end with us." Victor, raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs to support him, had been captivated by Diana's world, a world of family legacies and generational wealth. He had always built things for others. The idea of building something for himself, of being part of a legacy, was intoxicating. He took the job. Against all odds, he turned Blackwell Industries around. And somewhere in those exhausting first months, Diana fell in love with him, or so he thought. They married after a whirlwind courtship. Montgomery had seemed pleased, calling Victor the son I never had. For 10 years, Victor believed he had found his place, his family, his legacy. There had been warning signs, of course. Diana's reluctance to have children. Her father's subtle reminders that Victor wasn't born into the business world. The way certain clients and partners were kept away from him, handled exclusively by Montgomery. And then there was Nolan Pierce. Diana had mentioned him occasionally, her college boyfriend, the one who got away. Victor had never felt threatened. After all, he was her husband, her choice. 6 months ago, Nolan had appeared at a charity gala. Victor remembered Diana's reaction, the flush in her cheeks, the nervous laughter. A week later, Montgomery hired Nolan as a consultant. Diana began working late, collaborating with Nolan on special projects. Victor's phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. "Lawrence Reeves." "Victor, we need to talk. What they're doing isn't just wrong, it's actionable." "I know." Victor's voice was steady. "But I'm not interested in legal remedies, Lawrence." "What are you planning?" "I had a prenup drawn up that Montgomery insisted on." Ironic, isn't it? He was so concerned about Diana's inheritance that he never considered I might be the one getting betrayed. "The prenup doesn't cover this situation, Victor. This is constructive termination, breach of contract, possibly fraud. I'm not filing lawsuits, Lawrence. I want something more comprehensive." Silence on the line. Then, "Be careful, Victor. You're angry now, but—" "I'm not angry," Victor interrupted. "I'm focused." After hanging up, Victor opened his laptop and pulled up a folder labeled Contingency. Inside were documents he had prepared years ago, after the first time he overheard Montgomery questioning his suitability to leave Blackwell Industries permanently. Victor had survived an impoverished childhood and built himself from nothing. He hadn't reached his position by being naive. While the Blackwells saw him as an outsider, a useful tool, he had been quietly preparing for this day. Every contract he had negotiated, every client relationship he had cultivated, every innovation he had implemented, all could be weaponized. By dawn, Victor had made a comprehensive list of Blackwell Industries' vulnerabilities, Diana's secrets, and Nolan's weaknesses. He had spent a decade being underestimated. Now they would learn the cost of that mistake. Chapter 3. The Preparation. The weekend passed in a blur of meetings and preparations. Victor operated with surgical precision, his emotions locked away. On Saturday morning, he met with Vanessa Tucker, head of product development at Blackwell Industries, and one of the few executives who respected Victor for his abilities rather than his marriage. "I can't believe Montgomery did this," Vanessa said, sliding into the booth at the quiet cafe Victor had chosen. "Half the executive team is in shock." "Only half," Victor asked with a grim smile. "The rest are Blackwell loyalists. They'll follow Montgomery off a cliff." "And where do you stand, Vanessa?" She met his gaze steadily. "I stand with the person who approved my innovations when Montgomery wanted to stick with outdated product lines. I stand with the person who promoted me when Montgomery said a woman couldn't handle the pressure." Victor nodded. "I need everything you have on Project Phoenix." Her eyes widened. "That's Nolan's baby. It's under triple encryption, which is why I need you. You're the only one besides Nolan with full security clearance." She hesitated. "Victor, if I do this, there's no going back." "There's already no going back, Vanessa." Montgomery and Nolan made sure of that. By Saturday evening, Victor had the complete Project Phoenix files. Nolan's ambitious plan to pivot Blackwell Industries away from its core business into emerging markets. The plan was innovative but deeply flawed, built on assumptions and projections that ignored fundamental market realities. On Sunday, Victor met with Thomas Wolfe, a venture capitalist who had been trying to partner with Blackwell Industries for years, only to be repeatedly rebuffed by Montgomery. Monty always was a short-sighted fool, Thomas said, reviewing the documents Victor had prepared. But these projections, are you certain? I built Blackwell's financial models. I know exactly how to break them. Thomas leaned back. What you're proposing would effectively create a competitor that could overtake Blackwell Industries within 2 years. 18 months, Victor corrected. And I'm not proposing a partnership, Thomas. I'm offering you the opportunity to invest in the ground floor of something revolutionary. By Sunday night, Victor had secured initial funding commitments, established the framework for a new company, and identified key Blackwell employees to recruit. He had also arranged for a detailed investigation into Nolan Pierce's professional history. Diana called 17 times over the weekend. Victor let each call go to voicemail. Her messages evolved from confused to concerned to angry. Victor, where are you? We need to talk about what happened. Victor, please call me back. This isn't what you think. Victor, you're being childish. Come home so we can discuss this like adults. The final message, left Sunday evening, was telling. Daddy is furious about how you left the party. Nolan says you're being unprofessional. If you want to salvage anything from this situation, you need to accept reality and come home now. As midnight approached, Victor stood at the hotel window. Across the city, the Blackwell Industries tower stood illuminated, the company logo glowing against the night sky. Tomorrow, they expected him to crawl back, to accept his demotion gracefully, to stand beside his wife while another man took everything he had built. They were about to learn how badly they had misjudged him. Chapter 4, Monday morning. Victor arrived at Blackwell Industries at precisely 7:30 a.m., his usual time. He wore his best suit and carried his customary briefcase. To anyone watching, he appeared completely normal, except for the small moving crew that accompanied him to his office. Marjorie, his assistant for the past 8 years, stared in shock as the men began carefully packing Victor's personal items. "Mr. Harlow, what's happening?" she asked. "A transition, Marjorie." Victor handed her an envelope. Inside is a job offer, double your current salary, full benefits, and stock options. The address is included. If you're interested, be there at 9 a.m. tomorrow. But what about? Your loyalty to me over the years has been invaluable, Victor continued calmly. Whatever you decide, I want you to know that I appreciate everything you've done. As word spread of Victor's presence, executives began appearing at his door, their expressions ranging from curious to concerned. At 8:15, Nolan Pierce arrived, briefcase in hand, wearing a suit that Victor recognized as bespoke Italian, likely purchased with his new consulting fees. He faltered momentarily at the sight of the movers, then recovered his composure. "Victor, I was hoping we could talk." "By all means." Victor gestured to the chair across from his desk, the only furniture not yet packed. Nolan sat, his confident smile firmly in place. "I know Friday night was awkward. For what it's worth, I pushed for Montgomery to handle the transition more delicately." "I'm sure you did." Victor's voice revealed nothing. "Look, I understand you've put a lot into this company. No one's disputing that. But Montgomery feels, and I agree, that Blackwell Industries needs fresh perspectives to remain competitive." "Fresh perspectives?" Victor repeated. "Like Project Phoenix?" Nolan's smile faltered. "You know about Phoenix?" "I know it's built on fundamentally flawed market projections, overestimates revenue potential by approximately 40%, and ignores regulatory challenges in at least 3 key markets." Nolan leaned forward. "Those projections were prepared by top analysts." "My analysts," Victor corrected, "who were instructed to provide you with the data you wanted to see, not the data you needed to see." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Nolan's face. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that Project Phoenix, as currently formulated, will fail spectacularly. And you, as the new CEO, will be holding the bag when it does." Nolan's expression hardened. "This is pathetic, Victor. You're trying to sabotage the company because your ego can't handle being replaced." "Not replaced," Victor said quietly. "Betrayed. There's a difference." At that moment, Diana appeared in the doorway. She wore a cream-colored dress that Victor had bought her for their anniversary, her expression a careful mask of concern. "Victor," she said, "you didn't come home." Victor looked at his wife, really looked at her, and wondered how he had missed the ambition burning behind those gray eyes, the calculation in her perfect smile. "I'm not coming home, Diana. I filed for divorce. Your father's attorneys will receive the paperwork this morning." Diana's mask slipped, revealing a flash of genuine fear. "You can't be serious. After everything we've built together?" "That's just it," Victor said, standing. "I built. You and your father waited for the right moment to take it away." The movers finished packing the last of Victor's belongings. He picked up his briefcase and walked to the door. Diana caught his arm. "Victor, please. We can work this out." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Don't throw away 10 years over one misunderstanding." Victor gently removed her hand. "It wasn't a misunderstanding, Diana. It was a miscalculation." As Victor walked through the executive floor toward the elevator, he passed Montgomery's office. The old man stood in the doorway, his face flushed with anger. "Running away, Harlow? I always told Diana you didn't have what it takes. Real Blackwells fight for what's theirs." Victor stopped. "I couldn't agree more, Montgomery. And I'm about to show you exactly what that looks like." By 9:30 a.m., Victor had left the building for the last time. By noon, the documents dissolving his marriage were delivered to the Blackwell legal team. By 3 p.m., Victor's new company, Phoenix Rising, was officially registered. And by 5 p.m., 7 key Blackwell Industries executives had tendered their resignations, effective immediately. The counterattack had begun. Chapter 5, Revelations. Diana found him at his hotel that evening. Victor wasn't surprised. Her father had enough connections to track anyone in the city. "You need a key card for the elevator," she said, slipping into the hotel bar where Victor sat reviewing documents. "And yet, here you are." He signaled the bartender for another scotch. Diana slid onto the stool beside him. She had changed into a simple black dress, her makeup understated, her hair pulled back, the look she wore when she wanted to appear vulnerable. "You've been busy today," she said. "Half the product development team resigned." Vanessa Tucker emptied her office and disappeared. 7 executives gone without notice. 14, actually. The remaining 7 will announce their departures tomorrow. Diana paled. "You're trying to destroy my father's company." "Your father's company?" Victor laughed softly. "The company he ran into the ground before I saved it? The company I rebuilt with my sweat and sacrifice? That company. Our company," Diana amended. "Our life, Victor. Whatever you think happened." "What I think happened," Victor interrupted, "is that you and your father used me to salvage Blackwell Industries. Once it was profitable again, you orchestrated my replacement with your former lover." "How am I doing so far?" Diana's eyes narrowed. "It wasn't like that. Nolan's return was coincidental." "Nothing in your world happens by coincidence, Diana. Your father taught you better than that." She reached for his hand. He withdrew it. "Victor, please. I know you're hurt." "I'm not hurt, Diana. I'm awake." She changed tactics, her expression hardening. "What do you want? Money? A settlement? Name your price." "I already have what I want, clarity." Victor gathered his documents. 10 years ago, I thought I married a woman who loved me. Now I know I married a Blackwell. Someone who sees people as resources to be used and discarded. That's unfair. Is it? Tell me something, Diana. When did you and Nolan reconnect? Was it really 6 months ago, or have you been in contact all along? Her silence was answer enough. "How long have you been planning to replace me?" Diana looked away. "It wasn't like that. When did you stop loving me? Or did you ever love me at all?" She met his gaze, her eyes suddenly cold. "I loved what you could do for my family. Isn't that enough? Most marriages are built on less." Victor nodded, a strange relief washing over him. "Thank you for your honesty, finally." "What happens now?" Diana asked. "You take half our assets and run off to start a competing business? Daddy will bury you. Your father insisted on the prenuptial agreement, remember? I get nothing from the divorce except what I brought into the marriage." Diana smiled triumphantly. "Exactly. So this tantrum of yours, stealing our employees, whatever scheme you're plotting, it's pointless." "Is it?" Victor stood. "Your father also insisted that I sign a non-compete agreement when we married. The agreement that I had Lawrence Reeves carefully modify before signing." Diana's smile faltered. "What are you talking about?" The modified clause states that I cannot compete with Blackwell Industries while married to a Blackwell. The moment our divorce is finalized, which, given the prenup, should be remarkably quick, that restriction evaporates. You tricked my father? I prepared for the day when the mask would slip. Today is that day. As Diana absorbed this, her phone buzzed. She checked it, her face paling. What have you done? Nolan says the Phoenix projections are all wrong. The data is corrupted. Not corrupted. Corrected. I simply ensured that Nolan has accurate market projections to work with. If Phoenix fails now, it will be due to his leadership, not faulty data. Diana stood, her composure cracking. You won't get away with this. My father. Your father made a critical error, Victor said quietly. He taught me everything about Blackwell Industries, its strengths, its weaknesses, its vulnerabilities. And then he gave me a reason to use that knowledge against him. As Diana stormed out, Victor felt no satisfaction, only a cold determination. The board meeting was scheduled for Friday. By then, he needed every piece in place. Chapter 6. Counterpoints. The next 3 days unfolded with the precision of a military campaign. Victor worked from his temporary headquarters, a converted warehouse space that had been prepared months ago, another part of his contingency plan. By Wednesday, 23 key Blackwell employees had joined Phoenix Rising. By Thursday, that number had doubled. Each defector brought valuable skills, client relationships, and institutional knowledge. Thomas Wolfe had secured full funding. Lawrence Reeves had expedited the divorce proceedings, leveraging the prenuptial agreement to bypass normal delays. And Vanessa Tucker had reconstructed the product development pipeline that had been her domain at Blackwell Industries. On Thursday afternoon, Victor received an unexpected visitor. Montgomery Blackwell himself, red-faced and breathing heavily, was escorted into Victor's office by security. You ungrateful parasite, Montgomery snarled. After everything I did for you. Please, Montgomery, save the righteous indignation for someone who still believes it. Victor remained seated. How did you find me? You think I don't have ways to track down traitors? I made you Harlow. I can unmake you just as easily. Victor gestured to a chair. Sit before you give yourself another heart attack. Surprisingly, Montgomery complied, his breathing labored. What do you want? Is this about money? Position? Your precious ego? It's about consequences, Montgomery. Actions have them. So this is revenge? You're dismantling my company because I hurt your feelings? Victor leaned forward. I'm creating a competing company because you and your daughter violated my trust, manipulated me for a decade, and conspired to steal my work. The fact that it may destroy Blackwell Industries is simply collateral damage. Montgomery's face darkened. You won't succeed. The board meets tomorrow. I've already secured their support for Nolan's appointment and your termination for cause. For cause? Victor raised an eyebrow. On what grounds? Intellectual property theft. Solicitation of employees. Corporate espionage. Take your pick. Interesting charges, considering I've taken nothing but my personal belongings and my own expertise. The employees who left made their own decisions. And as for espionage, well, that would require proof. Montgomery smiled nastily. Proof like Vanessa Tucker accessing confidential files before her resignation? We have the server logs, Victor. This was unexpected. Victor maintained his composure while mentally recalculating. Those files pertained to projects under her supervision. Projects that mysteriously disappeared along with her. The board will see it for what it is. Montgomery stood shakily. You've overplayed your hand, son. By this time tomorrow, you'll be facing criminal charges, not running a competing business. After Montgomery left, Victor called an emergency meeting with his core team. We've been compromised, he told them. Montgomery has evidence that could derail everything. What kind of evidence? Lawrence asked. Server logs showing Vanessa accessed Project Phoenix files before leaving. Vanessa paled. I was careful. I used my authorized credentials during normal working hours. Which proves you accessed the files, but not why, Victor said. Montgomery's spinning it as intellectual property theft. Can he make that stick? Thomas asked. Lawrence frowned. Potentially. Even the appearance of impropriety could trigger injunctions that would freeze our operations while the courts sort it out. Then we accelerate the timeline, Victor decided. The board meets at 2 p.m. tomorrow. We need to move before then. How? Vanessa asked. We're not ready to launch. We don't need to launch. We just need to control the narrative. Victor outlined his revised plan. By the time the meeting concluded, everyone had their assignments. The stakes had escalated, but so had Victor's resolve. Montgomery had taught him another valuable lesson. In business, as in war, the unexpected attack often succeeded where the telegraphed one failed. That night, Victor received a text from Diana. "Is there still a way to fix this?" He didn't respond. There was nothing to fix, only something to finish. Chapter 7. The Board Meeting. Friday dawned clear and cold. Victor dressed meticulously in a suit he had never worn to Blackwell Industries, a subtle psychological detail that would register subconsciously with the board members. At 1:30 p.m., Victor walked into Blackwell headquarters, accompanied by Lawrence Reeves and Thomas Wolfe. They were expected. Victor had requested to address the board before any vote on his termination, a courtesy the board chair couldn't reasonably deny. In the boardroom, 14 men and women sat around the massive table, their expressions carefully neutral. Montgomery sat at the head, with Nolan to his right and Diana to his left. Victor noted the strategic positioning, a unified front of the Blackwell dynasty. "Mr. Harlow," the board chair began, "you have 10 minutes to address the allegations against you before we proceed with the agenda." "Thank you, Ms. Reynolds." Victor remained standing. "I'll need less than that. I'm here today not to defend myself, but to extend an opportunity to this board." He distributed folders to each member. Inside, you'll find detailed analysis of Project Phoenix, the initiative Mr. Pierce plans to spearhead as the new CEO. You'll also find accurate market projections, regulatory assessments, and competitive analyses, all information that was deliberately withheld from you. Nolan started to protest, but Montgomery silenced him with a gesture. Additionally, Victor continued, you'll find a prospectus for Phoenix Rising, my new venture. The final page outlines our offer to acquire Blackwell Industries' core business lines at a premium of 30% over current market valuation. The room erupted in murmurs. Montgomery slammed his hand on the table. "This is preposterous. You're attempting to steal my company after sabotaging it from within." "I'm offering a lifeline," Victor corrected. "Project Phoenix will fail. The market conditions are wrong, the regulatory environment is hostile, and the financial projections are fantasy. My analysis proves this conclusively." "Your analysis is biased," Nolan interjected. "You're desperate to undermine the company now that you've been replaced." Victor turned to the board. "Consider the source of your information. Mr. Pierce has been on the Blackwell payroll for 6 months. I built this company for 10 years. Who has more incentive to present accurate data?" Ms. Reynolds, the board chair, studied the documents thoughtfully. "These projections are significantly different from what we've been shown previously." "Because they're accurate," Victor said. "Mr. Pierce has been telling Mr. Blackwell what he wants to hear, not what he needs to know." Montgomery's face reddened dangerously. "This is character assassination. Victor Harlow stole proprietary information, solicited our employees, and is now attempting to leverage that theft into a hostile takeover." "Interesting accusation," Victor replied calmly, "especially considering this." He handed Ms. Reynolds another document. "This is a forensic analysis of the server logs Mr. Blackwell plans to use as evidence against me. You'll note that the timestamps have been altered to suggest files were accessed after hours, when in fact they were accessed during normal business operations." Montgomery lunged to his feet. "That's a lie. The digital signature doesn't lie, Montgomery. Someone modified those logs, and it wasn't me." All eyes turned to Montgomery, whose face had gone from red to ash white. Diana reached for her father's arm as he swayed. "Dad? What's he talking about?" Montgomery clutched his chest, his breathing labored. "He's trying to confuse the issue." Victor watched dispassionately as Montgomery collapsed into his chair. Diana cried out, rushing to her father's side. Someone called for an ambulance. In the chaos, Victor approached Ms. Reynolds. "The offer stands for 24 hours. After that, Phoenix Rising will proceed with our independent launch, and Blackwell Industries will face a competitor specifically designed to exploit its weaknesses." As paramedics rushed into the boardroom, Victor and his team quietly exited. In the elevator, Lawrence gave him a sidelong glance. "Did you know he would react that way? Montgomery has a history of heart problems when under stress. It was a calculated risk. And if he dies?" Victor met his friend's gaze evenly. Then Diana inherits his voting shares, which would make our negotiation more straightforward. Thomas whistled softly. Remind me never to cross you, Harlow. As they reached the lobby, Victor's phone buzzed with a message from Diana. This is your fault. If he dies, I'll destroy you. Victor put his phone away. Phase 1 complete. Now for Phase 2. Chapter 8. Revelations and Reversals. Montgomery survived. The heart attack was minor, but it forced an emergency postponement of the board meeting. In the interim, Ms. Reynolds initiated an independent audit of Project Phoenix and requested a formal due diligence review of Victor's acquisition offer. 3 days later, Victor received a call from Ms. Reynolds. The board has concerns, Mr. Harlow. Your analysis of Project Phoenix appears sound, but there are questions about your funding, your team's capability to execute, and the long-term viability of your offer. Understandable concerns, Victor replied. I'm prepared to address them in detail. Good. The board will reconvene on Friday. In the meantime, Mr. Blackwell has been advised to rest. His daughter will represent his interests. Victor smiled. I look forward to it. After hanging up, Victor turned to Vanessa. Montgomery's sidelined. Diana's taking point. Is that good or bad for us? She asked. It's perfect. Diana understands the business, but she lacks her father's emotional connection to it. She'll make decisions based on her personal interests, not the company's legacy. You sound like you know her well, Vanessa observed. I was married to her for 10 years, Victor replied. I know exactly how she thinks. The next day, Diana requested a private meeting. Victor agreed to see her at his hotel, with Lawrence present as a witness. Diana arrived looking polished but tired, the strain of recent events evident in the tightness around her eyes. Victor. She nodded coolly. Lawrence. Ms. Blackwell. Lawrence replied formally. Still Harlow. Technically, Diana corrected. At least until the divorce is finalized. Victor gestured to the sitting area. What can I do for you, Diana? She sat, crossing her legs deliberately. You can explain what you hope to accomplish with this vendetta. It's not a vendetta. It's business. Business born from betrayal. Don't insult my intelligence, Victor. This is personal. Perhaps, he conceded. But my offer to the board is straightforward and financially sound. Diana leaned forward. And if I could offer you something more valuable than money? Lawrence shifted uncomfortably. Ms. Harlow, I should advise you that any offer. Nolan is gone, Diana interrupted. I fired him this morning. Victor raised an eyebrow. On what grounds? Incompetence. Dishonesty. Take your pick. Diana's smile was brittle. Your analysis of Project Phoenix was correct. The board's independent audit confirmed it. Nolan was selling us a fantasy. And your father allowed this? Dad isn't thinking clearly. Hasn't been for some time. Diana hesitated. He's been diagnosed with early-stage dementia. We've kept it quiet, but it's affected his judgment, especially about people he trusts. Victor studied his soon-to-be ex-wife. And you're telling me this because I'm offering you what you really want, your position back. CEO of Blackwell Industries, with complete autonomy. Dad will remain as figurehead chairman until his health forces a complete retirement. Lawrence cleared his throat. And what do you want in return, Miss Harlow? The dissolution of Phoenix Rising. The return of all Blackwell employees. And Diana met Victor's gaze directly. The withdrawal of the divorce petition. Victor laughed softly. You want me to come back. To you and to the company. It's the rational solution. You get what you wanted. The company retains its leadership and staff. The shareholders avoid disruption. And you? What do you get, Diana? Her expression hardened. Stability. Security. The life we built together. The life you were willing to destroy for Nolan Pierce. Diana waved dismissively. A momentary lapse in judgment. Nolan manipulated both me and my father with false promises and shared history. Like you manipulated me? Victor stood, walking to the window. You know what's interesting, Diana? You haven't once said you made a mistake because you love me. It's all about stability, security, rationality. Those things matter more than fleeting emotions. Perhaps, but they're not enough. Victor turned to face her. I don't want to come back, Diana. Not to you, and not to Blackwell Industries. Diana's composure cracked. Then what do you want? Why are you doing this? I want what I've earned, recognition for my work, compensation for my contributions, and the opportunity to build something truly mine. You're being childish, Diana snapped. This is about your ego. No, Diana. It's about justice. For 10 years, I gave everything to your family's company while being treated as an outsider. I'm done building other people's legacies. Diana stood, her eyes cold. Then you leave me no choice. The board meets tomorrow. I'll recommend rejecting your offer and pursuing all legal remedies against you and your accomplices. After she left, Lawrence exhaled slowly. That could have gone better. Actually, Victor replied. It went exactly as planned. The next morning, Victor arrived at Blackwell headquarters for the reconvened board meeting. This time, he came alone. Diana sat in her father's chair, her posture rigid. The board members looked tense, aware of the stakes involved. Before we begin, Victor said, I'd like to modify my offer. Diana's eyes narrowed. We're not interested in modifications. I think the board should decide that. Victor distributed new documents. I'm withdrawing my offer to acquire Blackwell Industries. Instead, I propose a merger between Blackwell and Phoenix Rising, with a new corporate structure and leadership team. Ms. Reynolds reviewed the proposal. This is unexpected. It's unacceptable, Diana interjected. After everything he's done, what I've done, Victor cut in, is assemble a team of Blackwell's most talented employees, secure significant venture funding, and create a viable alternative to a flawed strategic plan. The rational solution, as someone recently pointed out, is collaboration rather than conflict. As the board members discussed the proposal, Diana pulled Victor aside. What are you doing? She hissed. I offered you everything. You offered me what you thought I wanted, Victor corrected. You still don't understand what this is about. Then explain it to me. It's about creating something that can't be taken away from me on someone else's whim. The board voted 11-3 to explore the merger proposal, with Diana casting one of the dissenting votes. As the meeting concluded, Victor checked his phone to find a message from Thomas Wolfe. Phase 2 complete. Ready for Phase 3? Victor replied with a single word. Yes. Chapter 9. The Final Move. The merger negotiations proceeded rapidly. Both sides recognized the potential synergies. Blackwell's established market position and Phoenix Rising's innovative team and fresh approach. A framework agreement was reached within a week, with Victor positioned as CEO of the merged entity and Ms. Reynolds as board chair. Diana fought the merger at every step, but with Montgomery still recovering and the board firmly behind the deal, her options were limited. The marriage dissolution proceeded in parallel, with the prenuptial agreement ensuring a clean break with minimal assets changing hands. 2 weeks after the initial board meeting, Victor stood in his new office in the Blackwell Tower, unpacking his belongings. The merger would be announced to the public the following day, after the closing documents were signed. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Diana entered without waiting for a response. Enjoying your victory? She asked, her voice tight. It's not about winning or losing, Diana. Spare me the platitudes. She closed the door behind her. I want to know why. Why go through with the divorce when you're getting everything you wanted professionally? Victor set down the book he'd been holding. Because our marriage was built on a lie. You never loved me. You loved what I could do for your family. And now? What happens now? Now we move forward. Separately. Diana stepped closer. It doesn't have to be that way. The company will be stronger with us united personally as well as professionally. The company will be fine, Victor said. And so will I. She studied him, her gray eyes calculating. You've changed. The Victor the first married would have forgiven me by now. The Victor you married doesn't exist anymore. He died the moment your father announced Nolan as his successor. Diana's expression hardened. You'll regret this, Victor. One day, you'll realize what you threw away. I didn't throw anything away, Diana. I simply recognized its true value. After she left, Victor received a text from Lawrence. Final papers ready. Montgomery signed off. It's done. Victor smiled. Almost done. The next morning, key executives from both companies gathered in the Blackwell boardroom for the merger signing ceremony. Montgomery had insisted on attending, despite his doctor's advice. He sat at the far end of the table, looking diminished but still defiant. Diana arrived last, immaculately dressed but visibly tense. She took her place beside her father, avoiding Victor's gaze. Ms. Reynolds called the meeting to order. Today marks a historic moment for Blackwell Industries. The merger with Phoenix Rising represents not just a new chapter, but a new beginning. The legal teams distributed the final documents. Victor signed where indicated, then passed the papers to Thomas Wolfe, who did the same. When the documents reached Diana, she hesitated, pen hovering over the signature line. "Is there a problem, Ms. Harlow?" Ms. Reynolds asked. Diana looked directly at Victor. "I want a private word with my husband before proceeding." A murmur ran through the room. Victor nodded. 5 minutes. They stepped into a small conference room adjacent to the boardroom. Diana closed the door firmly. "What is this about, Diana?" "The terms are set." "Not all terms." Diana's voice was low, urgent. "There's something you don't know. Something that might change your perspective." Victor sighed. "Whatever it is, it doesn't matter anymore." "It matters. I'm pregnant, Victor." He stared at her, processing her words. "Pregnant?" "Yes. 8 weeks." Diana placed a hand on her stomach. "Your child." "My child," Victor repeated, his voice flat. "Or Nolan's." Diana flinched. "How dare you? How dare I question the paternity when you were involved with your ex-boyfriend? Is that really so unreasonable?" "It's yours, Victor. I can prove it with a paternity test if you insist." Victor studied her face, looking for signs of deception. "Assuming it is mine, why tell me now? Why not use it as leverage earlier?" "Because I just confirmed it yesterday." "And because—" Diana hesitated. "Because I thought you should know before making any final decisions." "Final decisions like signing the merger agreement? Or finalizing our divorce?" "Both." Diana stepped closer. "We could still make this work, Victor. For our child." Victor felt a momentary disorientation. The future he had once imagined, a family with Diana, a legacy beyond business, flickering into view. Then reality reasserted itself. "If you're pregnant, and if the child is mine, I'll fulfill my responsibilities as a father. But our marriage is over, Diana." Her face hardened. "You deny our child a proper family out of spite." "No, out of honesty." "What kind of example would we set, staying in a loveless marriage built on manipulation and lies?" "Love is overrated," Diana said bitterly. "My parents didn't love each other. They had an arrangement that worked. And look how well that turned out." Victor moved toward the door. "We should get back. They're waiting." Diana caught his arm. "One more thing. If you proceed with this merger and this divorce, I'll contest both. I'll fight the merger on legal grounds and the divorce on the basis of your marital obligations to our unborn child. I'll tie everything up in court for years." Victor studied her. "You'd risk the company's future out of pride?" "I'd risk anything to win, Victor. You taught me that." He laughed softly. "No, Diana. Your father taught you that. I taught you something else, though you never learned the lesson." "And what's that?" "Always have a contingency plan." Victor opened the door and returned to the boardroom, Diana following. All eyes watched them expectantly. "Is everything resolved?" Ms. Reynolds asked. "Not quite," Victor replied. "There's been a development that affects our proceedings." He turned to Thomas Wolfe. "Thomas, please distribute the alternate documents." Thomas opened his briefcase and removed a different set of papers. Diana watched in confusion as they were distributed. "What is this?" she demanded. "Option B," Victor explained. "A complete acquisition of Blackwell Industries by Phoenix Rising, rather than a merger of equals." Montgomery struggled to his feet. "This is outrageous. The board approved a merger, not an acquisition." "The board approved the exploration of a merger," Victor corrected. "The final terms were subject to negotiation and mutual agreement." He turned to Ms. Reynolds. "As it happens, Phoenix Rising secured additional funding yesterday, enough to make an all-cash offer for Blackwell Industries at a 40% premium to current market value." The board members murmured in surprise, reviewing the new documents. "This is a trick," Diana protested. "A last-minute bait and switch." "It's business," Victor replied. "The kind of business the Blackwells taught me." Ms. Reynolds cleared her throat. "Mr. Harlow, while this offer is certainly generous, the board would need time to properly consider it." "Of course. Take all the time you need." Victor gathered his papers. "But be aware that the offer expires at close of business today, after which Phoenix Rising will proceed with its independent launch and direct competition with Blackwell Industries." As Victor walked out of the boardroom, Diana followed him to the elevator. "You planned this all along," she accused. "The merger proposal was just a feint." "Not a feint. A contingency." The elevator arrived, and Victor stepped inside. "You should know, Diana. I had your pregnancy claim investigated before you even made it." Her face paled. "What are you talking about?" I've had you under surveillance since the retirement party. I know you visited your gynecologist yesterday. I also know the doctor confirmed you're not pregnant. The elevator doors began to close. Diana thrust her hand between them, forcing them back open. You had me watched? What's the word you're looking for? Manipulative? Calculating? Ruthless? Victor smiled coldly. I learned from the best. The board won't sell to you, Diana insisted. Not once I tell them what you've done. What I've done is offer a premium price for a company facing significant strategic challenges. The board has a fiduciary duty to consider it, especially with your father's health issues and your demonstrated poor judgment. The elevator doors closed on Diana's stricken face. Victor descended to the lobby, where Lawrence waited. How did it go? Lawrence asked as they walked to the car. Exactly as expected. Diana played her final card, a false pregnancy claim. And the board? They'll accept the acquisition offer. Ms. Reynolds already has the votes lined up. Lawrence nodded. And Montgomery? He'll fight it, but his health and the premium price make his opposition irrelevant. And Diana? Victor paused at the car door. Diana will learn what her father and I both know. Everything has a price. 3 days later, the board of Blackwell Industries voted 12-2 to accept Phoenix Rising's acquisition offer. Montgomery Blackwell, in a rage, suffered a second, more severe heart attack and was hospitalized. Diana disappeared after the vote, reportedly traveling to Europe. Nolan Pierce accepted a position with a competitor on the opposite coast. 1 month after the acquisition closed, Victor stood in his office in what was now Phoenix Blackwell Industries, looking out at the city skyline. Lawrence entered with a folder. The last of the integration documents, he said, placing them on the desk. The transition is complete. Any word from the Blackwells? Montgomery's being moved to a long-term care facility next week. Diana has reportedly purchased a flat in London. Victor nodded. And the divorce? Finalized yesterday. You are officially a free man. Victor turned from the window. Not free, Lawrence. Just unencumbered. Any regrets? Victor considered the question. Regrets imply I would do things differently given the chance. I wouldn't, even knowing what it cost. Especially knowing what it cost. Victor picked up the folder. Some prices are worth paying for clarity. As Lawrence left, Victor returned to the window. The Blackwell Industries sign had been replaced with the Phoenix Blackwell logo, a phoenix rising from flames, wings spread wide. It was, Victor thought, an appropriate symbol for his journey. Destruction as a prelude to rebirth. He had lost a marriage built on lies, but gained a company built on truth. In the end, the Blackwells had taught him their most important lesson. Never mistake possession for ownership. True ownership came from creation, not acquisition. Victor Harlow had created something that could never be taken away. And in doing so, he had finally created himself. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.